principle or method that is based on experience and convention rather than strictly precise measurements or calculations.
So I could say, rule of thumb is you don't fire a weapon into a crowd.
Someone ought to remind the Nkranza police of that. But yes, that would be a perfectly good application of the expression.
It's a brilliant little phrase, isn't it? I wonder where it originated from.
Well, you're not going to like this.
Oh dear. Go on then.
It is believed that there was an old English law that allowed a man to beat his wife as long as the cane was no broader than his thumb.
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, calm down. There's another theory that the expression comes from a method brewers use to test the temperature of their beer by dipping their thumb into it.
Oh, doesn't sound particularly hygienic either, but I definitely prefer that one.
It's all yours. Now, where's DJ Wubete? He promised me a cuppa.
He's probably hunched over his phone somewhere, chatting with his Instagram fans.
That guy, eh? I'll show him some good old-fashioned rule of thumb.
You're going to test his temperature with your thumb?
Ew, no.
DJ Wubete on Instagram.
Yes. The highest paid DJ. Highest paid.
The man who can stand on a Mercedes-Benz, take a picture with it and not own it.
But I mean, by rule of thumb, you don't need to be owner of a Mercedes to stand on it. In any case, highest paid, Charlie, you don't have to own it. And one is so dim. Time for the news review brought to us by Milo Energy to go further. Enterprise Life's Family Income Security Plan, Enterprise Your Advantage, and First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different.
But before we get into the papers this morning, Kojo, lots of things happening in our secondary schools.
Yes.
And the Speaker of Parliament has also been calling for some investigations into food shortages. So he's asked Parliament's committees, 5 committees, to probe the National Food Buffer Stock Company and the school feeding program.
Yes, I want to bring you a few snippets of that conversation because it's we're dealing with it later. But first, so let's start from here, okay? So we know that some parents have expressed concern, but before that, the food shortage has hit various senior high schools across the country, with some schools struggling to feed their students 3 times a day. Raphael Sarkodie is the Ashanti Regional SRC coordinator, and he's appealing to government to immediately come to the assistance of second cycle institutions. He was speaking to Nana Yaujima in the Ashanti region. Let's listen to him.
You have schools where, for instance, students have to feed on a particular food item for some time because the others, as it were, are yet to be received by the school. That would ensure that they will be able to follow the menu. And so we appeal to buffer stock, by extension government, that it should work at ensuring that there will be frequent and smooth supply of food items so that the schools can go by the menu and to ensure that students will be well fed so that the focus will be on academic work.
Now, some parents have been raising that the concerns expressed by the awards in the schools. They talk about how they have to support the awards with extra money in order for them to get sufficient food to eat.
She's complaining bitterly about the kind of food that they give them. The quantity is not enough, the quality too is not there. So she's complaining a lot, and according to her, it's not she alone who is complaining. Almost all their colleagues and everything are complaining about the food. So because of that reason, she sent me a lot of pictures and everything of what they have been taking in the school. So I decided to be sending her some little money to support her to be able to study effectively. Within a week or 2 weeks, I can send her 100 Ghana cedis.
Your money bro school. Now see I'm back to school. Okono let to be a man. Someone ska. Our friend last Saturday say your mom will be an anopa. Your mom anopa. Your mom will be an anopa so cocoa sakura. Cocoa abrodon count. A pambo cho. Planet bread. She said, move enough. Don't have to. Now, Obesco baby keep closer. Yen she, Sena, apparently believe.
My daughter is in one of the senior high school in the Volta region, and on Saturday she called that for the whole day they didn't cook for them. The kitchen was closed. the teachers also went on strike. There's nobody on the compound. They were there alone, hungry. The way the situation was, I felt no, she has to come back. So I called that she should come back, and I sent money to her, and she's back at home now with me.
Joy 99.7 FM.
All right. So, I mean, it doesn't end there. The PRO for the Ministry of Education, Kwesi Kwarteng, admitted to some challenges with the feeding system in the various schools. He explained that these challenges are gradually being solved. That's when he spoke to MFR Peru on Newsnight just yesterday.
So we admit there are some level of challenges occasioned by delays in the supply of some selected food items, which were expected to be supplied by our suppliers to the various schools. Unfortunately, those supplies could not reach the schools, but as of now, the good news is that the Minister for Education, Dr. Yauseduchum, has intervened, and as I speak to you, packs of food items, at least I can. What comes to mind is about 10,000 bags of sugar, 60,000 bags of rice that are scheduled to be distributed to various schools across the country. You are looking at the Ashanti region. I'm sure there are about 3 schools there. You are looking at Greater Accra region and largely Upper West region.
All right, now, Winston, this is what you were talking about. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has tasked 5 committees of Parliament to investigate the concerns of the school feeding caterers. Now, he was addressing the House, and he bemoaned the poor state of the National School Feeding Programme. He says these 5 committees need to expedite investigations into the concerns raised. He also charged them to ascertain the challenges faced by the National Food Buffer Stock Company, which is struggling to perform its role.
A matter of concern and of public interest has been brought to my attention in the aftermath of the caterers of the school feeding program's recent protest and strike action. This necessitates some light shedding on the issues raised by the caterers in order to ensure that food, an essential requirement for life itself, is made readily available to the vulnerable school-going children.
Well, so the directive he's giving goes to the education, the committees on education, gender, children, social protection, health, food and agric, as well as the finance committee to investigate the issues and report back to the House by October.
So, this country is teetering on a needle point. You see, I have parents whose children are in some of the top schools in Cape Coast, the what they call the well-endowed schools, right? One of the best girls' schools in the country. I don't want to mention the name of the school, even though the parents are willing to go on record, and when they do, I'll give them the chance to say their piece. But they tell me that they have to send food to their children every single day from Accra. They have to get relatives in Cape Coast to send them food if they are not able to take food down to them.
So,
because the shortage is real.
You don't fix what is not broken, do you? So why did we not face these challenges years ago? Why did we not face them? We did not face these challenges because at the time, headmasters with what we call matrons or domestic bearers were taking care of the feeding of the schools or the children. How do they take care of it? Now, you went into the school and paid your boarding fee. When I was in secondary school, I paid 144,000 as boarding fees. I don't know what they pay today. As feeding fee, boarding fees at the time.
Obviously, you don't mean Ghana cedis.
Oh, no. Old cedis. I mean, in today's Ghana cedis, that's about 10 cedis. 14 cedis. Yeah, 14 cedis. So, now, let me get into my point. Now, if you want to implement a free SHS, why would you want to implement a free SHS that comes with a centralized system. That today you expect the Ghana, buffer stock, food buffer stock company to be the one supplying food. The Ghana Food Buffer Stock, who are its suppliers? What association do they have with the government? You heard, Richard Kodunyako's report that indicated that some headmasters are worried because they say people bring them food, they bring them 10 bags, and they tell them to actually sign for 15 bags in some circumstances. What are we doing to the children? This is so simple. How do you go about it? You knew how the schools were running before you decided to implement free SHS. Release the monies to the headmasters. Let the headmasters actually do the feeding. Let them pay for it. If you think you do not trust the headmasters, okay, let the headmasters go and get this food, and then you will go and pay the suppliers. Do not say the suppliers, well, under the current circumstances, the suppliers go and supply the schools. The government delays in paying them. So even there, there's a problem. Release the monies on time. You decided to implement free SHS, and so it only makes sense if you release the monies on time. Okay, you release the monies on time. Let the headmasters, for instance, decide even who the suppliers they want to choose, or the people they want to supply them with food. What's the system we're implementing where all of that? And last time, look, I was privy to some conversations on Headmasters platform. Kojo, you will be surprised. You will be surprised what is happening in this country when it comes to free SHS. Last year when we talked about it, the president went to Cape Coast and said the radio station was running a campaign against free SHS. Nobody runs a campaign against free SHS. People give the government feedback because we're unhappy with how things are being run in this country. And all of us are citizens and not spectators. We are partners in development. So when we give you feedback, we expect you to take that feedback and correct the situations. Look at what we are faced with today. That students are, look at, a man who talks about his child being given Coco Sakura. How? Anyway.
You see, Winston, the thing that really disturbs me is that this is not, it is not a new problem. It's been over a year since we started giving feedback to this government about the gaps and loopholes in a system that has to work. Free SHS has to work for the benefit of all Ghanaians. When we started pointing out the problems with it, including this problem with feeding, they said we're waging a campaign against free SHS. Today, you are coming to tell us that you feel the pain of Ghanaians. Can you imagine your child in school telling you that I'm hungry? Mommy, daddy, I'm hungry. You've sent them off to another city to go and study. They are living among strangers. You are entrusting them to the care of the government. And they are calling you and telling you that they are being starved. They are hungry.
We'll come back to this.
And you are telling us that you feel our pain.
They don't.
You feel our pain.
They don't. We'll come back to this. We'll come back and talk about this.
Let me just ask you, me that I'm pointing out problems with the system so that they can be fixed, and you that are starving people's children, who is waging a campaign against free SHS? Which of us? Anyway, let's see what's in the papers, Winston.
Well, so let's start with the daily graphic for this morning. And request to freeze Sir John's assets. Special prosecutor to appeal High Court ruling. Because the special prosecutor disagrees with the High Court ruling. That's what he should have come under, Section 54. He said, well, he came under Section 50 because he doesn't seek to confiscate Sir John's asset, but rather affirm the freezing of it. And that's why he decided to come under that particular section. Government retreat discusses way forward for the economy is also here. And the big one says, who wins NPP chairmanship contest? 3 emerge front runners. And the front runners are Stephen Ayesu in team. This is his 5th time he's contesting to be chairman of the NPP. Stephen Asamoah Boateng, Asabi, or 777, first time. And George Kwabena Abankwa Yeboah, who is the current treasurer, also seeking to be chairman of the NPP. Gridco demolishes structures under high tension lines in Accra. And ministry endorses demolition work at Mimpasem in East Legon.
All right. The Daily Guide has these. Court dismisses SP's request over Sir John's will. We've already talked about that. Public service workers declare strike. Don't scrap free SHS. Bright Appear of Child Rights International is the one making that call. Mid-year budget review postponed. Surprise, surprise. Going to IMF doesn't connote failure. This is the kind of thing I don't want to wake up to in the morning. But these are words that are ascribed to Alexander Afenyo Markin. It says here, Member of Parliament for Ifutu has refuted claims by some sections of Ghanaians that the government's call on the IMF for a bailout amounted to failure by the managers of the economy. He says, considering the cleanup undertaken by government in the country's banking sector, the payment of subsidies to farmers, and the servicing of debts, the government has been transparent to Ghanaians about the IMF support, in spite of the criticism it has received. I don't know how that amounts to it not being a connotation of failure, but anyway, we can all judge for ourselves.
The final this morning, workers demo over MPS deal cripples Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. I was talking about it yesterday. National Cathedral government risk $8 million judgment debt over buildings which have been demolished. Government will reclaim all state lands from encroachers. Deputy Lands Minister and hands off free SHS and IMF bailout. Bright appear cautions as negotiations progress.
Okay, IMF program should not affect free SHS, Child Rights International. That's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Immigration personnel put on high alert on Ghana-Burkina Faso border at Mognori to avert terrorist attack. 1,300 killed in road crashes from January to June 2022. Scary. But let's focus on influencing global economic order. That's the president urging African leaders. Very interesting. He calls for a continental lender of last resort.
Okay,
that should be interesting.
Yeah, the Daily Statesman says interim calls for clean campaign among aspirants, and the rich must pay. That's Austin Game, who's a labor consultant. He's calling for increase for free SHS to target only the poor. Means testing. We've been talking about it. Anyway.
All right, let's do the online review. It's brought to you by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and Goyle Good Energy.
Well, Zenith Bank just made, linking your Ghana card details to your Zenith Bank account easy. Simply visit zenithbank.com.gh or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter pages to link your card to your account or visit any Zenith Bank branch near you. An email and SMS where the link has also been sent to you, our valued customers. Remember that if from the 1st of July, you will not be able to effect any banking transaction if you've not updated your Zenith Bank account with your Ghana card details. Link your Ghana card to your Zenith Bank account today. It's easy, quick, and convenient. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
All right, now the earliest Ghana could get an IMF deal is the first quarter of 2023, according to sources. Details are on myjoyonline.com. Citynewsroom.com this morning has more unions could join Kola strike. That is a warning from organized labor. And on the BBC website this morning, state of emergency called in Sri Lanka as anxiety grows. I wonder if you've seen the images of the demonstrations there. Shocking, shocking. All right, then it's time now for the BBC News.
Brought to us by Fidelity Bank, Believe with us, and Edlom Housing, where quality and spacious homes cost less, and Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
When the world looks at my child, they just see an energetic 8-year-old. But I see more. My Lucy is going to become captain of her school volleyball